The Mercedes-AMG One. Mercedes built 275 of them between 2022 and 2023. The engineering premise was specific and had never been attempted before in a road car. Take a Formula One power unit, make it function in daily road use. The 1.6-liter turbocharged V6 hybrid system was, with relatively minor modifications, the same engine that had powered Mercedes to multiple constructors' championships between 2014 and 2021. Making an F1 engine idle in traffic, start in cold weather, and survive the thermal cycling of road use took 5 years of development beyond the original projected timeline. The cooling system alone required complete redesign 3 times. In the United States, none of the 275 examples can be driven on public roads. Mercedes stated directly and without qualification that meeting American emissions standards would have required modifications that fundamentally altered the character of the F1 power unit. They chose the engine over the market. Mercedes buyers took delivery of cars that cannot legally turn a wheel on a public road in the country where they were purchased. The Bugatti Bolide. Bugatti revealed the Bolide in 2020 as the final unrestricted expression of the quad-turbocharged 8.0-liter W16 engine. The same engine family had powered the Veyron and the Chiron in road-legal form for nearly 2 decades. In those cars, the engine was managed, filtered, controlled, and limited to function within the boundaries that road certification required. In the Bolide, none of those boundaries existed. Power output reached 1,578 horsepower. The car weighed 1,450 kilograms. Aerodynamic bodywork generated 1,000 kilograms of downforce at the front axle and 2,000 kilograms at the rear at maximum speed. The claimed top speed was 310 miles per hour. Road registration was never considered at any stage of development. The ground clearance of 50 millimeters made speed bumps a structural concern. The noise output exceeded the measurement range of standard automotive testing equipment. The absence of emissions equipment of any kind placed the car outside every regulatory framework that exists for street use. Bugatti built it deliberately that way. The Bolide was not a road car that happened to be extreme. It was a statement about what the W16 could do when released from every constraint road use imposed. 40 were built, each sold for approximately 4 million euros before the car had turned a wheel. The Aston Martin Vulcan. Aston Martin announced the Vulcan at the Geneva Motor Show in 2015 and was honest about its nature from the first sentence of the press release. A track car. Nothing more. The 7.0-liter naturally aspirated V12 produced 820 horsepower. The number was later increased through the AMR Pro upgrade package available to existing owners. The aerodynamic configuration was designed entirely around generating downforce, with no consideration given to efficiency, noise, or emissions. 24 were built. The exhaust note at full throttle registered at decibel levels that no road noise standard in any jurisdiction had been written to accommodate. Each buyer was required to complete a driver development program organized by Aston Martin before being permitted to drive unsupervised. The program existed because the car genuinely demanded it. Years after production ended, a company called RML Group developed and offered a road conversion program for the Vulcan. The process took 18 months per car and involved replacing or modifying over 100 components. A small number of owners pursued the conversion. The majority kept their cars in the configuration Aston Martin had built. The Pagani Huayra R. When Pagani designed the Huayra R in 2021, the decision to remove the turbochargers was deliberate. The road-going Huayra used a twin-turbocharged AMG V12. The R variant deleted the turbos entirely.
In their place was a new 6-liter naturally aspirated V12 developed by Mercedes-AMG specifically and exclusively for this application. It produced 850 horsepower at a redline of 9,000 RPM. The sound it produced at that limit was described by every journalist present at the reveal as unlike anything they had heard from a road-derived engine. The aerodynamic package generated 2,204 kilograms of downforce. The car weighed 1,000 kilograms. 40 were built at a price of 3.1 million euros each. None can be registered for road use anywhere in the world. Pagani began the design process by explicitly removing road certification from the list of requirements. That single decision unlocked engineering choices that would have been impossible under any regulatory framework. The intake geometry, the exhaust routing, the rev limit, all of them existed only because no road standard had to be satisfied. Lanzante later offered a road conversion program for a small number of examples. Most owners declined. The Essenza SCV12. Lamborghini built 40 of them in 2021. The 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12 produced 830 horsepower, the highest output ever achieved by a Lamborghini naturally aspirated engine at that time. The engine was mounted higher in the chassis than in any previous Lamborghini road car, a position that would have been incompatible with road use, which allowed the center of gravity to be optimized for corked performance. The aerodynamic package was developed in collaboration with Lamborghini's motorsport division and generated downforce figures the company declined to publish for the road car range out of concern for how the comparison would read. None of the 40 can be registered for road use in any market. Lamborghini organized a dedicated storage and track event program for owners, a structure similar to Ferrari's XX program, in which the company managed logistics and maintenance, and owners attended events at selected circuits. The engine specification in the Essenza represented the final development of a V12 lineage that Lamborghini had carried in various forms since 1963. The Ferrari 599P Modificata. Ferrari introduced the 599P Modificata in 2023 as a customer-accessible version of the Le Mans hypercar that had won the 24 Hours of Le Mans that year on Ferrari's return to top-level endurance racing after a 50-year absence. The hybrid power unit combined a twin-turbocharged V6 with an electric motor system to produce a combined output exceeding 680 horsepower in a configuration tuned for corked use rather than road use. The car was not offered for sale in the conventional sense. Ferrari structured ownership through its XX program, in which the company retained custody and transported examples to exclusive track events for customer use. The regulatory position was unambiguous. A Le Mans specification hybrid power unit calibrated for endurance racing produced emissions at idle, on overrun, and during cold start that no road certification standard in any market had been designed to accommodate. The 599P Modificata was built to win races. The question of road registration was never raised internally at Ferrari. The McLaren P1 GTR. McLaren built the standard P1 as a road car. 375 were produced between 2013 and 2015. The twin-turbocharged 3.8-liter V8 combined with an electric motor to produce 903 horsepower in road specification. The GTR was what remained when every constraint road use imposed was removed from that foundation. Power rose to 986 horsepower. The electric motor calibration was adjusted for track rather than efficiency use. Downforce increased to 660 kilograms, a figure that exceeded the car's own curb weight. The interior was stripped to racing specification, with a full roll cage, 6-point harness, and fire suppression system, replacing the road car's interior. 35 were built. McLaren offered structured coaching sessions at circuits around the world as part of the ownership experience. Several years after production,
The Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR Pro. The standard Valkyrie was developed with Adrian Newey of Red Bull Racing and already operated at the absolute limit of what road certification would permit. The downforce figures for the road car were the highest ever achieved by a street-legal vehicle at the time of its introduction. The AMR Pro removed the road-legal constraint entirely. Power rose to approximately 1,100 horsepower from the naturally aspirated 6.5-liter Cosworth V12 combined with the hybrid system. Aerodynamic downforce at speed exceeded 2,000 kilograms, more than double the car's own weight. 25 were built. None can be registered anywhere. The exhaust system on the AMR Pro was routed and dimensioned for maximum flow efficiency with no noise attenuation whatsoever. The sound level at full throttle was described by Aston Martin's own engineers as incompatible with any environment other than a racing circuit. Owners completed specialized training before driving unsupervised. Several described the experience as the closest available approximation of a Formula One car that does not require an FIA super license to access. The Koenigsegg Jesko Absolut. Koenigsegg announced the Jesko Absolut in 2020 as the highest speed variant of the Jesko program. The twin-turbocharged 5.0-liter V8 produced 1,600 horsepower on E85 fuel. The name Absolut indicated that this was the unrestricted version, a car built without the aerodynamic downforce package of the standard Jesko in favor of minimizing drag from maximum straight-line speed. The claimed top speed was 330 miles per hour, a figure Koenigsegg stated was based on engineering calculation rather than a completed test run. In the United States, the Jesko Absolut occupies an ambiguous regulatory position. Koenigsegg pursued federal certification for the standard Jesko. The Absolut, with its specific aerodynamic configuration and power output, emissions and safety compliance challenges that complicated the homologation process. Several American buyers took delivery under conditions that restricted public road use. The 125 production slots were allocated before the car's public debut. Koenigsegg confirmed this without releasing a buyer list. The Zenvo TSR-S. Zenvo is a Danish manufacturer that builds cars in extremely limited numbers at its facility in Præstø. The TSR-S was introduced in 2018 as the track-focused variant of the TSR program. The twin supercharged and turbocharged 5.8-liter V8 produced 1,177 horsepower. The car featured a centripetal rear wing that tilted laterally through corners rather than remaining fixed, an active aerodynamic solution that no other manufacturer had attempted in a production vehicle. The wing's movement was controlled by sensors reading lateral acceleration and adjusting angle in real time. In the United States, the TSR-S cannot be registered for road use. The emissions profile of the twin forced induction V8 in its track specification does not meet federal standards. The active aerodynamic system presented certification questions that no existing regulatory framework had been written to address. Zenvo made no attempt to pursue American homologation for the track variant. The road-legal TSR version was handled separately. The TSR-S exists exclusively for circuit use, and Zenvo organized dedicated track days at European circuits for the small number of owners who took delivery. The Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version. Porsche built two road-legal versions of the 911 GT1 race car in 1996 to satisfy homologation requirements for the GT1 class at Le Mans. The twin-turbocharged 3.2-liter flat six was mid-mounted, a configuration that shared almost nothing with the rear engine layout of the road-going 911 range, despite sharing the body silhouette. Power output in road specification was 544 horsepower. The two homologation cars were technically street legal in Germany at the time of their construction.
In the United States, neither was ever federalized. The noise output, the emissions profile of the twin-turbocharged racing engine in road trim, and the cost of pursuing American certification for two cars made compliance impossible to justify commercially. Both examples were retained and are among the most valuable Porsches in existence. In 1998, Porsche built a second-generation GT1 for Le Mans. They built one road car. That car sold at auction in 2023 for $31.9 million. The Radical SR8. Radical Sports Cars is a manufacturer based in Peterborough, England that builds circuit-focused vehicles in small volumes. The SR8 used a 2.6-liter V8 infrastructured from two Suzuki Hayabusa motorcycle engines sharing a common crankshaft. The configuration produced 360 horsepower in a car weighing 475 kilograms. The power-to-weight ratio exceeded the Bugatti Veyron at the time of the SR8's introduction. In 2005, the SR8 set a Nürburgring lap time of 6 minutes and 55 seconds, a record for production-based cars that attracted global attention disproportionate to the company's size and resources. In the United States, the SR8 cannot be registered for road use. The motorcycle-derived engine does not meet automotive emissions certification requirements. The construction of the car does not conform to federal motor vehicle safety standards. Radical accepted these limitations as a consequence of building a circuit car rather than a road car, and made no attempt to pursue compliance. The SR8 remains available. The Nürburgring record it set has since been broken. The engineering principle it demonstrated has not changed.